All right, today's lesson is pretty simple. Today we're talking about equations of lines. The other day we just dealt with slope. We dealt with parallel slope and perpendicular slope. Today we're talking about equations of a line. First thing you need to know is slope-intercept form. It's the equation that most people can graph pretty easily. What does that equation look like? Yes, y equals mx plus b. Basic little formula from Algebra 1. I'll go ahead and point at a few of the things in here. First off, this m is our slope. The b is our y-intercept. The y-intercept is where the line hits the y-axis. You might want to write that down. Where the line hits the y-axis. The x and the y are not going to change. They're still going to look like x and y. For example, you're going to have an equation that looks like y equals 2x plus 3. That's an example. Notice, the m will be a number, the b will be a number. Your x's and y's will stay the same. Standard form is a little bit different. It says ax plus by equals c. A little bit different. We can always solve for y and get back to slope-intercept, but I'm going to teach you some neat little tricks with standard form today. On example 1, it says write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. First off, I want you to get into the habit. Slope-intercept form, what does that look like? Y equals mx plus b. Write it down. Get this in your brain. You got to remember, what does that equation look like? Y equals mx plus b. Okay, we got it. Now, there are a few things that we need. We need our slope, and we need our y-intercept. Doesn't matter which one we do first. Some people think the y-intercept is the easiest. I kind of do, just because you don't really have to do any math. You see, where does the line cross the y-axis? Here's the y-axis. Where do we cross the y-axis? At 0, 3. But I don't want a 0, 3. I just want a number. The 3. The 3 is where it crosses the y-axis. That is your b. That point right there is your b. Now we have a template. We just need to fill in one other spot. What goes in that one spot? Slope. And we learned that if you see a line graphed, you can count the slope. The key thing is you need to find the leftmost point to make it easy on yourself. Out of these 2 points on the picture, which one is the leftmost? The 0, 3. That's where I start counting from. To get to the other point, do I count up or down? Down. Okay, so slope, I'm counting down, so that's negative. And then I need the fraction. How far down are we going? 4 and then 2. And a lot of you know that simplifies to just negative 2 over 1. And I would just take negative 2. That's our slope. And we're done. This next example is definitely a little bit more challenging. You got to read and understand what it's asking and go from there. First thing I want you to realize is there is no graph. That means all the information you need is in that bold statement, that bold little paragraph. So we got to read and understand that. It says write the equation of the line passing through the point 1, negative 1, parallel to the line with the equation y equals 2x minus 1. All right, there's a word that sticks out to me. I would put a box around it because it means something important. What does the word parallel mean? Same slope. Write that down. Parallel means same slope. Well, what's the current slope of this line? It's currently 2. All right. If I want my new line, this is all about my new line out here. If I want my new line to have the same slope, what's its slope? Oh, if it's parallel, it's the same. It's also 2. Here's our old line. Here's the new line we're making. Its slope is also 2 because they're parallel. Sometimes it'll say perpendicular there. What do you do then? Opposite reciprocal. Good. So that's our first step. Now what we need to do is we're going to write y equals 2x minus 1. Basically, I just brought this over so I can plug in some values. I didn't change my 2. I didn't change my slope because they have the same slopes. But one thing that I will change is this out here on the end. I'm going to change this to a b, like the normal equation says. Y equals mx plus b. We have to solve for a new b. But right now I have 1, 2, 3 variables. That's kind of hard to solve. We need to use some other information that was given in the problem. What other information could I use from the problem? It gave us some numbers. Hey, guess what? It gave us the 1, negative 1. That's my x, that's my y. I'm going to plug in the 1 for x and the negative 1 for my y. That's what I'm doing right here. How big is my y? Yeah, negative 1. We just labeled it. My 2 stays. What goes in for my x? 1. And what goes in for my b? Oh, just b, because I'm solving for b. Now, this is a simple equation to solve. There's just a couple steps. What's 2 times 1? How do I get b alone? Subtract 2 from each side. I'll write it out. And I get negative 3 as b. Unfortunately, this is where a lot of people quit. They think, hey, I solved for b. I'm good. I'm done. But that's a mistake. You got to plug it in. But plug it in where? Where do I plug it in? Oh, that needs to plug in right there. So really it should say y equals 2x plus my new b is negative 3. Oh, so it's minus 3. There's my final answer. There's my new equation for this parallel line through the point 1, negative 1. Good. Here are 2 checkpoints for you to try. Try them out on your own. You can use your notes. They match up with examples 1 and 2. See what you can do. All right, this first one's the one you all said was really easy earlier, so let's just see how you can do. First up, write the equation line. Remember, it's supposed to look like y equals mx plus b. We need numbers for m and b. I think the easy one is b. Let's do that first. What does b stand for again? Y-intercept, where it hits the y-axis. Where does this line hit the y-axis? At negative 5. So negative 5 in for b. So right there, that's our b. From there, I need my slope. I need my m. Which point should I start counting from? The leftmost point is which one? Okay, so from here, do I go up or down? Up. So that means I'm going to have a positive slope. My slope will be positive. How much do I go up? I counted 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you counted 5, you need to recount. And then over how many? 2, right? 2. So that simplifies to 3, or 3 over 1. 3 is nice, though. 3 is nice. So let's plug that in. There's our final answer. The next one says, write the equation of the line that passes through the point parallel to the line. I circle that word, parallel. What am I supposed to remember about parallel? Same slope. You should write that out. It helps you remember. Later on, you'll see perpendicular. You'll write opposite reciprocal. Oh, so I want to keep the same slope as this one right here. So that means my new slope is going to be the same. It's also going to be negative 2. And I got to remember, I'm going to be using this equation pretty much, but one thing's going to change. What's going to change? The b, the 3 is going to change to a b. I want to be able to solve for b though, so what else do I need to plug in? My x and y. So the y and the x need to be replaced by these values over here. So what goes in for y? 5. And what goes in for x? Negative 2. All right, we can bring the 5 down. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Get rid of the 4 by doing what? subtraction. So I get b is positive 1. A lot of people quit there. It's a bad spot to quit. I'm telling you, it's the common spot where people quit. You got to substitute. You got to plug it back in. So that final answer should be y equals negative 2x, then write our b, positive 1 plus 1. There's our final answer for number 2. All right, example 3 represents the other situation that I've mentioned. Sometimes we're going to be not parallel, we're going to be perpendicular. This is that case. It says write the equation of the line J passing through the point 3, 2 perpendicular to line K with the equation y equals negative 3x plus 1. Put a box or circle, perpendicular. What are we supposed to remember about perpendicular? Opposite, reciprocal. So two things, opposite, reciprocal. You got to remember 2 steps to do. So you take their slope and you pull it out to the side. That's y equals negative 3 over 1. I don't want the same slope anymore. I want a new slope that's perpendicular. What do I need to do? Opposite means change the sign. So it was negative, now it's positive. So you can put a plus there if that helps you. And now we got to do the reciprocal. The reciprocal means flip the fraction. Now it's 1 over 3. That's my new slope. That's my new slope. Next thing I got to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull this equation out to the side. Y equals negative 3. Oh, is it negative 3 anymore though? Oh yeah, we just created a new one. It's not the same anymore. I'm going to use my new slope. 1/3 x plus b. Yeah, we're solving for b. And remember, I can plug in for x and y. What's my y value? Yeah, it comes from this point, so I'm going to pull it over. So 2 equals 1/3 x is 3 plus b. We're solving for b, just like we did earlier. 1/3 times 3 is just 1. Subtract 1, we get b is 1. Is that my final answer? How do I write my final answer? Y equals 1/3 x plus 1. That's a perfect answer right there. Good job. Try this checkpoint real quick and see how you do. All right, so on this example, we look for our keywords. We try to understand what it's asking. We want to write an equation of the line passing through negative 8, negative 2, perpendicular to y equals 4x minus 3. What's the key word? Perpendicular. What's it mean? Opposite, reciprocal. You need to be writing that down so you do not make the common mistake. So we look at their slope, and we use it to find a new slope. The current slope is 4 over 1. I don't want that slope. I want the opposite reciprocal. What's that going to be? Negative 1/4. That's my new slope I'm going to use. I'm not going to think about 4 over 1 anymore. Now, I'm going to write out my stuff with my new slope. So y equals negative 1/4 x. Do I write minus 3? No, I write plus b. I'm solving for b now. I want a new intercept. Okay, I need to plug in for x and y. Do I have those values? Yes, they're in that point. My y value is negative 2. There's my 1/4, negative 1/4. There's my negative 8 plus my b. Simplify. Negative times a negative is a positive. 8/4 is just 2. To get b alone, I subtract 2, and I get b is negative 4. Some people made some sign mistakes down in this area, so be careful. Final answer is y equals what? Negative 1/4 x. I saw everybody get this part right, but a lot of people missed the b. Minus 4. There's our final answer. All right, now up we have to do example 5. It says graph 2x plus 3y equals 6. This is that standard equation. So I'm going to teach you a couple little tricks out of this. First thing you need to do is focus on 2x Let's write it out to the side. 2x plus 3y equals 6. What I want you to do is this. I want you to plug in x is 0 and solve for y. When I plug in x equals 0, what happens to this term? Yeah, it equals 0. Can everybody see that I'm going to be, the 0 is not really there, doesn't really help a whole lot? Divide by 3, you get y is 2. So what this tells me is I have a new point, 0, 2. All right, so there's that one. I have one new point. I can generate another new point using y is 0 and solving for x. So I'm going to plug in 0 for y right there. What's this term come out to be? It comes out to be a 0. So now it's 2x plus 0, don't really need to write it, equals 6. Solving for x, I get x is 3. Here's my other new point. Now, this is my x and y. Which one do I write first, the 3 or the 0? It's 3, 0. These are my 2 points that I can graph in order to make my line. You need 2 points to make a line. Those are my 2 points. 0, 2 is right there. 3, 0 is right here. And draw your line. And that's all you have to do.